The door flew open like a gunshot in the dead of night, and there was Shane, my straight-as-an-arrow best friend, silhouetted against the hallway's fluorescent buzz. His eyes locking onto me mid-stride from the shower. Buck-ass naked, water still dripping down my chest, my hand frozen on the towel I'd just grabbed. "Fuck, Zach," he rasped, not turning away, not laughing it off like I braced for, but stepping inside instead, the door clicking shut behind him with a finality that sucked the air from the room. What came next shattered every goddamn assumption I'd ever harbored about him. About us. His voice cracking as he whispered, "I've been lying to you, to everyone, and seeing you like this, it's killing me." I stood there in the steam-hazed bathroom of our cramped Boston University dorm, heart slamming against my ribs like it was trying to bust free, the tile cold under my feet. Shane's words hung in the humid air, heavier than the rain pounding the window panes outside. We'd been roommates for 2 years, bro hugs, late-night Xbox marathons, him dragging me to Bruins games where I'd pretend to care about hockey just to watch him cheer, beer foam grin splitting his face under that backward Red Sox cap. Shane O'Malley. Golden boy from Southie, all freckles and farm-strong shoulders from summers bailing hay back home in Ireland via Dorchester. The guy who could charm a nun and bench press a keg. Straight. Unquestionably. Or so I told myself every time my gaze lingered a beat too long on the V of his neck when he peeled off his shirt after pickup ball. But now? His hoodie clung to him like a second skin from the downpour he'd sprinted through, dark hair plastered to his forehead, those green eyes, usually laughing, always easy, stormy and searching mine. No punchline. No dude. Put some pants on. Just that confession, raw and ragged, like he'd been choking on it for months. I clutched the towel tighter around my waist, the terry cloth rough against my knuckles. "Shane, what the hell are you?" "Don't." He cut me off, voice low, stepping closer until I could smell the rain on him, mixed with that faint Irish spring soap he always used. His hand, calloused from gripping hockey sticks and barbell bars, reached out, hovering an inch from my arm, like he was afraid I'd vanish if he touched. "I've been fighting it, Zach. Watching you. Wondering. Every time you laugh at my shitty jokes, or when you crash on my bed after too many at the Baron, your leg brushing mine. I tell myself it's nothing. Brothers, right? But tonight, running back from practice, soaked to the bone, all I could think about was getting here. To you. My throat went desert dry. I'd buried my own truth so deep it ached. Gay as a goddamn rainbow in June, but closeted tighter than a nun's habit. Boston was liberal on paper, BU a bubble of progressive kids quoting Audre Lorde in lit class, but Southie roots ran deep, and Shane's crew? Blue-collar Catholics who tossed around fag like it was punctuation. I jerked off to the thought of him more times than I could count, hating myself for it, scrolling Grindr in incognito mode for faceless hookups that left me emptier than before. But Shane? He was the sun in my orbit, the one constant I never dared eclipse. "Sit," I managed, nodding to the edge of my unmade bed, the sheets tangled from a restless nap. He did, thighs straining his wet jeans, elbows on knees like he was psyching up for a face-off. I yanked on boxers and a faded Patriots tee, the fabric sticking to my damp skin, and dropped onto the desk chair across from him, the room's single bulb casting long shadows that made his jaw look sharper, more vulnerable. "Talk," I said softer now, because part of me, the terrified, hopeful part, didn't want him to stop. He dragged a hand through his hair, water droplets scattering like tears. Junior year started, and it's like everything flipped. Coach pairs me with that new goalie, Mike, and we're in the locker room, steam everywhere, and he jokes about some Grindr date, all casual, and I freeze. Because I'm picturing it. Picturing you. His gaze flicked up, pinning me. I've hooked up with girls, Katie from high school, that sorority chick last semester, but it feels scripted. Like I'm playing a role. With you, it's real. Terrifying real. The rain hammered harder, thunder rumbling like the L train under Kenmore Square. I leaned forward, elbows mirroring his. "Shane, if this is some experiment, some bicurious phase to spice up the straight life, it's not." He surged up then, closing the gap in 2 strides, his hands framing my face, thumbs rough against my stubble. His breath was hot, ragged. I've loved you since that road trip to Fenway, when you belted dirty water off-key and spilled nachos on my lap. Not bro love. This. And he kissed me. Fierce, desperate, lips tasting of rain and regret. His body pressing mine back against the chair until it creaked. I melted into it, hands fisting his hoodie, pulling him closer, the world narrowing to the scrape of his teeth. The low groan he let loose when my tongue met his. It was messy, urgent, like we'd both been starving and only now realized the feast was each other. When we broke apart, gasping, foreheads pressed together, he whispered, "Don't hate me for being late to this." "Hate you?" I laughed, shaky, tracing the freckles across his nose. "I've been waiting forever." That night we didn't sleep. We talked, halting confessions spilling out like the storm outside. How he'd stolen glances in the showers, rationalized it as envy of my swimmer's build. How I'd memorized the scar on his knuckle from a bar fight over his ex. By dawn, tangled in my sheets, his head on my chest, the city waking to gray light filtering through the blinds. It felt like possibility, like we could rewrite the script. But Boston winters are brutal, and so was the reality crashing in. First week of classes, Shane's phone buzzed nonstop. Texts from his Southie pack, invites to the Black Rose for pints and pics. He'd glance at them, jaw tightening, then silence it. "They don't need to know yet," he'd say, kissing my temple. "Not till I'm sure." I nodded because I got it. Closets are cozy until the door sticks. But doubt crept in like frost on the windows. We'd steal moments. His hand on my thigh under the library table, stolen blowjobs in the stacks when the floor emptied. Me riding him slow and deep in the dark, biting back moans so the RA wouldn't hear. It was electric, addictive. His body a map I learned by heart. The constellation of moles on his hip, the way his abs clenched when I whispered filthy praise. Then Luke entered the frame, like a plot twist in a Scorsese flick. Intro to American Lit, second row, all brooding intensity and cheekbones that could cut glass. Luke Harlan, transfer from UCLA, voice like smoked whiskey when he dissected Whitman in seminar. Leaves of Grass isn't just homoerotic subtext, he'd argue, blue eyes flashing. It's a goddamn manifesto. Afterward, we'd linger in the hall, debating Kerouac over bad coffee from the vending machine. He was out, unapologetic. Rainbow pin on his backpack, stories of pride parades in WeHo that made my closeted heart ache with envy. One crisp October afternoon, post-class, he caught me staring at the Charles River from the T-stop, leaves swirling like confetti. "You look like you're carrying the world, Zachary," he said, falling into step beside me, his leather jacket creaking. "Wanna unload?" I hesitated. Shane's practice ran late, leaving me adrift. "Just complications." He smirked, that half-tilt that promised trouble. "Aren't we all? Come on. My place is off Calm Avenue. Brew some tea. Dissect your soul." Luke's walk-up was a poet's dream. Exposed brick, bookshelves groaning with Ginsberg and Baldwin. A cat named Oscar Wilde curling around my ankles. We talked for hours, him cross-legged on the rug, me on the couch, the sun dipping low and painting everything amber. He shared his scars. Disowned at 17 by Bible Belt parents in Texas. Hitchhiking to Cali with nothing but a guitar and rage. "Love's a revolution, Zach," he said, eyes locking mine. "You gotta burn the old world down to build the new." By the time I left, buzzed on his cheap Chianti and the thrill of being seen. Truly seen, no shadows. Shane was waiting in our room, towel around his waist, fresh from the shower. "Where've you been?" Not accusatory, but edged. "Met a guy from class." Lit discussion ran long. His eyes narrowed, water beating on his chest. "That Luke? The pretty boy transfer." Jealousy flickered, hot and unfamiliar. I crossed to him, hands on his hips. "Just talk, babe. You're the one I come home to." He pulled me in, kiss turning possessive, hips grinding until we tumbled to his bed. But as he moved inside me later, whispering mine against my neck, I couldn't shake Luke's words. Revolution. Was this love, or just a safe harbor from the storm? Thanksgiving loomed like a guillotine. slicing through our fragile bubble. Shane's family expected him home. Ma's corned beef, Da's endless Eagles rants. The whole O'Malley clan crammed into their triple-decker in Dorchester. "Come with," he begged one night, tracing circles on my stomach as we lay spent, the dorm heater rattling like a death rattle. "Say you're a study buddy crashing for the holiday." I wanted to, God, the domesticity of it, squeezing his hand under the table, stealing glances over pumpkin pie. But the risk? His Uncle Pat, the cop with the mustache and the homophobic one-liners. "Pass," I said, kissing his knuckles. "I'll survive on ramen and Netflix." He pouted, that boyish full lip jutting. "Coward." "Realist," I shot back. But it stung. We fought then. First real one, him accusing me of not fighting for us, me snapping that he was the one half in, half out. He stormed to the lounge, came back with a six-pack and an apology fuck that left bruises on my hips and tears on my pillow. Luke, meanwhile, became my anchor. We'd meet Tuesdays at the BU pub, splitting nachos and trading stories. He was a whirlwind. Tattoos snaking up his arms, a phoenix on his bicep, rise inked on his ribs, laugh that boomed like thunder. "You're holding back, Zachary O'Malley light," he'd tease, clinking his Sam Adams against mine. "Spill. Who's got you twisted?" I deflected at first, but whiskey loosens tongues. One night, after he'd recited Howl from memory, eyes alight, I cracked. "Roommate, Shane." "New. Messy." His brow arched, intrigued. "Straight roommate? Classic. How messy?" "Caught me naked. Confessed everything. Now we're, whatever this is." I waved vaguely, heat crawling up my neck. Luke leaned in, cologne sharp and citrusy. "Sounds like a rom-com waiting for the plot twist. But ask yourself, Zach, is he all in? Or just dipping a toe?" The question burrowed like a splinter. That weekend, Shane left for Dorchester, van packed with laundry and lies. I texted Luke on impulse. "Up for a hike? Need green." We hit the Emerald Necklace, boots crunching leaves along the muddy river path. The city skyline a hazy backdrop. He packed a thermos of spiked cider. Shared joints rolled with kush from his dealer in Alston. High on the ridge, overlooking Jamaica Pond, he turned to me, wind tousling his blonde curls. "You're beautiful when you're unguarded. You know that?" My pulse stuttered. "Luke. Just facts." His hand brushed mine, deliberate, thumb stroking my knuckles. "No pressure. But if he's not seeing you, all of you, maybe it's time to." I pulled away, heart a war drum, but the seed was planted. Back in the dorm that night, alone with Shane's empty side of the room smelling of his cologne, I jerked off to the memory. Not Shane's familiar weight, but Luke's voice, his touch. Guilt crashed in after, hot and acidic. Shane returned Sunday, sun-kissed and sullen, dumping his duffel with a thud. "Ma asked about you. Said you're always welcome." "Yeah." I hugged him from behind, chin on his shoulder. "Missed you." He turned, eyes shadowed. "Missed you more. But, talked to Da. About the future. NHL scouts sniffing around, maybe a contract after graduation. He says settle down. Find a nice girl." The words landed like body checks. "And what did you say?" "That I'm figuring it." He kissed me then, soft, evasive. We made love slow, him on top, our breaths sinking like a hymn. But his mind was elsewhere. I felt it in the hesitation, the way he wouldn't meet my eyes after. Winter deepened, snow blanketing the Charles in white silence. Our routine solidified. Mornings tangled, him feeding me bites of bagel before psych lab. Evenings studying in the quad, his foot hooked around my ankle under the table. But cracks spiderwebbed. He'd flinch if his phone lit up with group chat pings. Delete texts from the boys when I glanced over. Once, at a house party in Brighton, some sorority girl draped herself over him, giggling about old times. And he let her, too long, his laugh too forced. I nursed a beer in the corner, stomach churning, until Luke texted. "Dive bar on Boylston? Rescue mission." The rusty nail was a dive's dive, sticky floors, jukebox blaring Springsteen. Luke was at the bar, nursing a Jameson, his smile a beacon. Heroics. SOS. We played pool, him sharking me on purpose, bodies brushing as he lined up shots. By last call, 3 drinks deep, he had me against the wall in the alley, mouth on mine. Hungry, assured, nothing like Shane's tentative fire. I kissed back, hands in his hair, the world tilting. Guilt hit like a hangover the next morning. Shane was at practice, oblivious, humming off key in the shower. I ghosted Luke for a week, buried in midterms, but he cornered me after lit, coffee in hand. Talk to me, cowboy. That kiss. Regret or fear? Both. I admitted, voice small. Shane's. He's trying. For me. Luke's eyes softened, but steel edged in. Trying isn't enough if it's killing him. And you. He cupped my jaw, thumb gentle. You deserve all in, Zach. Not scraps. I pulled away, but his words echoed. That night, Shane came home wired. Scouts at practice. Whispers of a draft pick. This could be it, babe. Providence, maybe even Boston. His grin was electric, but fragile. Congrats, I said, forcing enthusiasm, pulling him down for a kiss. But as he thrust into me later, urgent and claiming, Luke's face flashed. Unbidden, unfair. February brought the storm. Shane's birthday, 22, legal for everything that mattered. I planned it perfect. Reservation at Legal Seafoods, overlooking the harbor, then back to the dorm for cake and cuffs, the fuzzy kind, ordered discreetly from Adam and Eve. But mid-dinner, his phone exploded, texts, voicemails. He silenced it, but his face drained. Family? I asked, fork pausing over lobster. De Uncle Pat's in town. Wants a lad's night at Foley's. Mandatory. The old bar in Southie. All shamrocks and stale peanuts. Go after, I suggested. We can. No. He flagged the waiter, voice clipped. Gotta bail. Rain check. Stung, I nodded. He dropped cash, kissed my cheek, chaste, brotherly, and vanished into the snow-slick streets. I nursed my wine alone, harbor lights blurring, then texted Luke on a whim born of hurt. Ditched. Join? He arrived 20 minutes later, snow-dusted, ordering oysters and a bottle of Pinot. To silver linings, he toasted, foot nudging mine under the table. We laughed about professors, about the time Shane face-planted ice skating on the frog pond. But his hand found my thigh, sliding up, and I didn't stop it. Didn't want to. Back at his place. Mine too buzzed for the tea, we tumbled through the door, coats shedding like skins. Luke was everywhere. Hands mapping my body like a lover, not a friend. Mouth hot on my collarbone, whispering let go, as he stripped me bare. It was different from Shane. Polished, poetic, him murmuring sonnets between thrusts, our bodies sinking like a tide. I came undone, crying his name, the guilt a distant thunder. Morning light filtered through his gauzy curtains, Oscar Wilde batting at my toes. Luke stirred, arms slung over my waist. Stay, he murmured, nuzzling my neck. Can't, Shane. But the words stuck. Instead, I slipped out, cab back to the dorm, a blur of recriminations. Shane was there, sprawled on his bed in sweats, scrolling highlights. Hey, good night. Yeah. I showered, scalding, soaping away Luke's scent. But when Shane pulled me close later, his touch felt distant. A week later, the axe fell. I came back from the gym, sweat-soaked, to find him on the fire escape, cigarette burning. First I'd seen him smoke since freshman year. We gotta talk. My stomach dropped. About us. He stubbed it out, eyes red-rimmed. Pat cornered me last night. Said he heard rumors from Katie, that girl from the party, about me and guys. His voice cracked. Pushed me to prove it. Took me to the strip club in the combat zone. Shoved a lap dance in my face. I went with a girl there. In the back room. The world tilted. Betrayal sharp as glass. You what? To show him. To show me. Tears tracked his cheeks. It meant nothing, Zach. But it felt right. Easy. Like slipping back into skin I know. I laughed. Bitter. backing away. So that's it? One family ambush, and you're straight again? Fuck you, Shane. No! He lunged, grabbing my arm. I love you, but this is tearing me apart. Das talking grandkids. The team needs a captain who's normal. I can't. You can, I snarled, wrenching free. But you won't. Get out. He did, duffel in hand, door slamming like a coffin lid. I sank to the floor, sobs racking me, the room echoing with ghosts of us. Luke found me there 2 days later, texted after I ghosted class. He didn't pry, just held me on the couch, feeding me takeout pho from Faux Pasteur, his silence a bomb. You're stronger than this, he said finally, kissing my temple. And I'm here, all in. I leaned into him, tentative, the fracture in my heart beginning to mend. But Shane's absence was a void, texts unanswered, his side of the closet bare. Whispers rippled. Team drama, scouts pulling back. I saw him once, across the quad, laughing with his crew, but his eyes hollow, haunted, met mine for a beat that stretched eternal. Spring thaw came slow, crocuses pushing through snow like hope. Luke and I bloomed, walks along the esplanade, him strumming guitar on his fire escape while I read aloud from Giovanni's room. Sex turned tender, his fingers interlacing mine as we moved, whispers of I see you, chasing away shadows. But Shane lingered, a bruise that throbbed. The climax hit mid-April, cherry blossoms furious pink against the sky. BU's Pride Week kicked off, rainbow flags snapping from dorms, drag brunch at the castle. Luke dragged me to the rally on the quad, his hand firm in mine, the crowd a sea of glitter and chants. We're here, we're queer, thundered, and for the first time, I chanted back, chest expanding. Then I saw him, Shane, at the edge, alone, hands shoved deep in his jacket pockets. Our eyes locked, and he mouthed, "Can we talk?" Heart a riot, I nodded. Luke squeezed my hand. Go, but come back to me. I met Shane by the BU statue, the terrier's nose glinting gold in the sun. He looked wrecked, stubble thick, eyes sunken. Saw the flyers, figured. Yeah. Say it, I demanded, arms crossed. I'm sorry, voice raw. That night with her, it was panic, proving something to ghosts. But losing you, that's the real death. He stepped closer, breath minty, desperate. I quit the team, told coach about us. He didn't fire me, but the scouts? Gone. To disown me over Easter brunch. Full Irish meltdown. But fuck it, I choose you. If you'll have me. Tears pricked. Betrayal scar ached. But so did love. The deep, humanistic kind that forgives because it knows the cost of hiding. Prove it. I echoed his old line softer. He did, right there. Pulling me into a kiss under the open sky, crowd whooping around us, Luke watching from afar with a nod of release. No grand gestures, just us. Flawed, fighting, finally free. Summer unfurled lazy and liberating. Boston shedding its skin for tank tops and harbor breezes. Shane crashed at my folks' place in JP. My parents, liberal profs who'd clocked my orientation at 15 over rainbow pancakes, welcomed him with open arms and grilling tips. Call me if you need backup, Mom said, hugging him fierce on the porch, her silver braids swinging. Dad clapped his shoulder. Any friend of Zach's family, beers on the deck. Shane's grin, real, unshadowed, lit him up. I, Mr. H. Lead the way. We spent days wandering the Freedom Trail, him narrating Paul Revere's ride with a brogue thickened for laughs, me snapping pics of him feeding ducks at the public garden. Nights, we'd sneak to the roof deck, city lights sprawling below, his head in my lap as I read from Luke's loaned copy of Call Me By Your Name. Peaches and Desire, he'd murmur, nipping my thigh. Sounds like us. Luke? We'd parted as friends. Awkward coffee at Tat Bakery, him toasting with oat milk lattes. You two are endgame material. Don't fuck it up. His flight to LA for summer stock theater was the next day. We hugged long. No regrets, just gratitude for the mirror he'd held up. But reconciliation's no fairy tale, scars itch. Shane's phone stayed dark, His old cruise texts a graveyard. One humid evening, post-softball in the fens, he cracked open a harp, staring at the logger's foam. Pat called. Wants to talk man to man. Apologize, maybe. My gut twisted, memories of that strip club confession, the girl's name a knife. You gonna? Dunno. He set the bottle down, hand finding mine across the picnic table. Calluses rough. Last time it broke us. But he's blood. Go, I said, squeezing. But come back whole. He did, one beer deep at a neutral Starbucks in Quincy. Pat's mustache twitching apologies over flat whites. I was wrong, kid. Scared for ya. But love's love. They hugged it out, awkward as dads at ballet recitals, and Shane returned lighter, texting me a selfie. Truce. Miss your face. Fall semester hit like a freight train, senior year, capstones looming, job fairs hawking Boston consulting gigs. Shane pivoted hard. Enrolled in Queer Lit with me, irony thick as chowder. Joined the GLBTQIA+ Alliance. Even DJ'd a queer mixer at the GSU. Spinning Chapel Roan till the dance floor sweated. Look at you, Southie rebel. I teased, grinding against him to hot to go. Learned from the best. He growled, hands possessive on my waist. But conflict brewed subterranean. His Da's silence stretched, radio static after the disownment. Shane masked it with charm, but I'd wake to him staring at the ceiling, jaw clenched. He'll come around, I'd whisper, tracing his tattoos, a shamrock on his pec, now inked with a tiny rainbow thread. Or he won't. You're enough. Thanksgiving redux, we drove to Dorchester, my hand on his thigh the whole pike crawl. Ma O'Malley greeted us at the door. Apron flour dusted, eyes wary but warm, pulling Shane into a smother. 'Bout time you brought the lad proper. De lurked in the living room, remote in hand, Fox News droning. Dinner was a minefield. Turkey carved tense, potatoes passed with sidelong glances. Then De cleared his throat. Heard you quit hockey. Scouts disappointed. Shane's fork paused. Wasn't my path, duh. This is. A beat. Da's eyes flicked to me. Assessing, not hostile. He treat you right? Better than right. Shane's voice steady, hand under the table on my knee. De nodded once, gruff. Good. No hugs, no rainbows, but it was a crack in the ice, human, messy progress. Winter brought wonder. First snow, us building a fort in the common like kids. Snowball fight escalating to tackles and kisses and drifts. Christmas at my parents', Shane in an ugly sweater, reindeer humping, belting carols off key. New Year's on the harbor, fireworks exploding over the water. His proposal whispered amid the booms. Not rings, but move to NYC after graduation? You, me, some shoebox in Brooklyn. I said yes, tears freezing on my lashes, our breaths mingling white. But betrayal's echo lingered, a shadow in the eyes. February, Shane's old flame Katie resurfaced. Facebook friend request, innocuous, then coffee for closure. I greenlit it, trust a muscle flexing. He came back rattled. She knows. About us. Said she suspected back in high school. Wishes us well. Relief, then paranoia. You sure that's all? His eyes flashed hurt. What, you think I'd? No. The seed of doubt sprouted. Climax brewed in March. Spring teas turning cruel with a nor'easter. Shane's called stroke hospital in Beth Israel. We raced over. Snow whipping the windshield. My wipers slapping frantic. ICU was sterile hell. Beeps, bleach, Ma O'Malley red-eyed in the hall. Delay tubed and frail, the firebrand reduced to whispers. Shane gripped the bed rail, knuckles white. Duh? It's me. Eyes fluttered open, blue, like Shane's. Son. Rasped. Proud. Of the man you're becoming. Shane broke. Sobs heaving, collapsing into the chair. I held him there, Ma's hand on my shoulder. A silent triad. De rallied enough for discharge. Rehab in Dorchester. Shane shuttling daily. I tagged along, fetching coffees, mediating silences. One evening, post-therapy, De pulled me aside in the garden, crocuses nodding. You saved him, Zachary. From himself. Us, I corrected, throat tight. Mutual. He clasped my hand, firm, forgiving. Welcome to the family. Graduation dawned golden. Fenway packed for the ceremony. Caps sailing like confetti. Shane walked first, psych major, summa cum laude, grinning wolfish from the stage. My turn, lit degree, dreams of editing at Penguin Random House. Post-ceremony, Luke crashed the after-party. Flew in from LA, bear hugging us both. Look at you lovebirds. Still nauseatingly cute. We laughed, toasting with Sam Adams in the bleachers. The green monster looming benevolent. That night, rooftop bar in the seaport, city glittering, Shane dropped to one knee. Not proposal but promise. A keychain with a tiny Brooklyn bridge. Our future. You in. Always, I said, pulling him up, kissing him deep as the skyline watched. But stories don't end tidy, humanity's the knot. Summer in NYC. Shoebox and bed stewie, roaches as roommates. Shane bartending at a queer dive in Williamsburg while I interned Midtown. Fights flared, money tight, his homesickness for Boston chowder, my late nights dodging subway gropers. Once, after a blowout over forgotten laundry, he stormed out, came back at 3 a.m. with falafel and, I'm sorry-us, betrayal revisited in July. His phone buzzed during a heatwave blackout. Screen glowing. Text from Pat. Heard you're playing house. Don't forget where you came from. Shane showed me, jaw set. Ignore. No. I kissed his temple. Own it. He did, calling to voice steady. Love him. End of. Click. Da's response. A care package next week. Cliff Bars. A Shamrock card. Build good. False settled us. Shane landed a counselor gig at the Ali Forney Center, helping queer youth. I edited manuscripts on queer icons, Baldwin's Shadow Long. Dates became rituals. Picnics in Prospect Park, him sketching me in charcoal, terrible, loving. Me reading him Ferlinghetti under the stars. One crisp November Eve. Anniversary of that naked night. We splurged on tickets to Angels in America, off-Broadway. Tears streaming through Kushner's Fury. Back home, candles flickering, he traced my spine. What happened next? Best shock of my life. Mine too. I turned, bodies aligning familiar. To us, flawed, fierce, forever. We moved then, slow as a vow, the city humming lullabies outside. No grand tragedies, just the quiet humanism of two men choosing each other, daily, deliberately. Betrayals forged us stronger. Conflicts carved space for grace. In America's messy mosaic, Southie grit to Brooklyn hustle, we found our corner, unapologetic, alive. And in the afterglow, tangled and sated, Shane whispered, Love you, Zach. Every naked, complicated inch. Right back. I murmured, heart full. Always. Wait, but the story needs to be 5,000 words. 5 files of 1,000 each. I've done 3 so far, but to complete, continue the pattern. Actually, since the plot is resolved in file 3, but user asked for 5 files, perhaps extend with epilogue or deepen. But for this, let's assume the ending is humanistic happy. But to reach 5, add reflections, side stories. No, the plot has climax in file 2, the talk at Pride. Resolution in file 3. To make 5, perhaps divide differently. But since it's seamless, continue with postgrad life, more conflicts. New conflict for depth. After NYC move, a new betrayal. Shane gets offered a job back in Boston. Temptation. Or introduce Zachary's full name or something. Wait. Narrator is Zachary. To extend. Yes. Control 12 years blurred into a rhythm uniquely ours. New York's relentless pulse syncing with the quieter beats of our shared life. By our 2nd anniversary, the Bed-Stewie shoebox had evolved. Shane's bar sketches pinned to walls like gallery art. My overflowing bookshelves spilling onto the fire escape where we'd sip black coffee at dawn, watching the J train rumble by. He'd taken to calling me Prof. after I landed a junior editor gig at a small press specializing in LGBTQ plus voices. Titles like No Ashes in the Wind and Queer Echoes from the Heartland stacking our nightstand. You're changing the world, one footnote at a time, he'd tease. nuzzling my neck over breakfast burritos from the bodega downstairs. But romance isn't all sonnets and sunsets. It's the grit in the gears. Shane's work at California drained him. Nights consoling runaways with haunted eyes, mirroring his own soothing scars. He'd come home hollowed, collapsing on the couch with a rough one, babe. And I'd draw him a bath, lacing it with that eucalyptus oil he pretended not to love. Tell me? I'd urge, kneeling by the tub, soaping his back as steam curled like secrets. Kid named Riley, 16, kicked out for a grinder app on the family iPad. Reminds me of me if I hadn't thawed. His voice would crack, and I'd hold him there, water sloshing, until the weight lifted enough for sleep. My own battles simmered. Imposter syndrome at the office, where boardroom bros eyed my lifestyle pieces with veiled smirks. Luke called monthly, now a rising playwright off-Broadway. His Texas Twilight a gut-punch queer drama that had me ugly crying in the third row. Proud of you, cowboy, he'd say over FaceTime, his LA glow tan and teasing. Shane treating you right? Or do I need to fly in for a duel? Duels are so last century, I'd laugh. But yeah, he's my anchor. Still doubts a sneaky bastard. Fall of our third year, Shane got scouted, not hockey but youth coaching. Program in Boston, solid pay, back near family. Think about it, he said over Thai takeout on the fire escape, chopsticks pausing midair. Ma's lonely since Da's hip surgery. And the Charles. God. I miss skating without dodging tourists. My chest tightened. NYC was our pact. The city that swallowed secrets and spat out survivors. And us? My job's here. Roots digging in. He set the carton down, green eyes earnest. Portable. We adapt. Like always. The argument simmered for weeks. Me snapping over misplaced keys, him withdrawing into late shifts. One rain-lashed night, post-shift, he slammed in, drenched, yelling, "You're clipping my wings, Zach. For what? A skyline that doesn't give a shit. Wings?" I shot back, voice rising over the downpour. "This is home. We built it. You're running again." He flinched, the old wound reopening. "Like that night in the dorm? When I chose fear over you. Feels familiar." The words poisoned the air. He grabbed his jacket, stormed out. I paced, regret a acid churn, until my phone buzzed at the pier. "Don't wait up." Dawn broke gray. He slunk back at 7 a.m., smelling of river and regret, collapsing into bed without a word. I curled against him, whispering, "Stay, please." "I will," he murmured, arm banding my waist. "For us." Resolution came incremental. He turned down Boston, but we compromised. Weekend drives up the coast, crashing at Ma's for corned beef revivals. Now mobile with a cane, grilled Shane on city nonsense. But slipped me a wink over mashed. Keeps him honest, eh? Christmas that year. We flew to Boston, then road trip to Portland for lobster rolls and lighthouse hunts. Shane's hand on the wheel, mine on his thigh, radio blasting the Nationals' aching anthems. New Year's in a Cape Cod inn. Snow-dusted dunes. Us bundled on the porch, champagne fizzing. "To shocks that stick," he toasted, pulling a velvet box from his coat. Not a ring, but matching silver cuffs, engraved naked truth. "Cheesy," I grinned, fastening his. "Poetic," he countered, tugging me inside for slow, candlelit worship. Body's a language of forgiveness, every touch a vow renewed. Spring brought renewal. Shane's first tattoo session for me. A quill pen on his forearm, ink and ice scripted below. "Your world, my mark," he explained, wincing under the needle but beaming after. I got his shamrock on my ribcage, a green anchor. Luke crashed our ink party, flying in for his off-Broadway opening. Beers at a Williamsburg tattoo aftercare spot, toasting to scars that tell good stories. But life's dramatics don't quit. June heatwave. Shane's phone lit up. "Katie," again, not closure, but crisis. "Her brother OD'd," he explained, voice tight. "Suthy thing. Funeral's tomorrow. I gotta go." Alone in the apartment, AC wheezing, jealousy flared irrational, old ghosts whispering what if. I paced, texted Luke. History repeating? Trust the man you built with, he replied. Or build alone. Shane returned Sunday, hollowed. Funeral black under his eyes. Ma's Tupperware in hand. Rough, but closed the loop. Told her about us straight up. She hugged me. Said, "'Bout time." Relief flooded. I pulled him to the shower, stripping us both, water washing away the grief. Under the spray, he broke, sobs against my chest. Miss the old crew, but they're not. Us. They're not. I agreed, kissing his wet hair. You've got a new pack. Me. Ma. Even Luke. The dramatic fucker. He laughed, watery. Lucky me. Summer deepened our roots. Beach days at Coney, cotton candy sticky, him hoisting me for Ferris wheel kisses. Nights at queer poetry slams in the village, Shane's head on my shoulder as voices rose fierce and tender. One reading, a piece on betrayal's bloom into belonging, had him squeezing my hand. That's us. Fall ushered challenges anew. My promotion meant travel. Book tours in Chicago, panels in SF. Shane held the fort, but video calls caught his strain. Bar shifts stacking, Ollie Forney cases heavy. Miss your voice, he'd say, pixelated and tired. Fort's lonely. 2 weeks, I'd promise, hating the miles. Climax crested in October. Amber leaves carpeting Central Park. I flew back early from a Philly signing. Surprise bouquet of yellow tulips. His favorite, sunshine in winter. But the apartment door yielded silence. No clatter of keys. No, babe, you're back. Heart sinking. I dropped my bag, followed the faint thump of bass to the bedroom. There. Shane on our bed, scrolling. Naked, casual, but his eyes lit with something feral when he saw me. Caught me? He grinned, tossing the phone. Your turn to shock. Relief crashed. I laughed, stripping frantic. Missed this. We collided. Urgent, reclaiming, the bed creaking protests as he flipped me, entering slow, eyes locked. Never doubt, he gasped, thrusts deepening the promise. You're my shock, my everything. After tangled in sheets, tulips wilting on the floor, we talked raw, real, about the loneliness, the fears unspoken. Therapy, he suggested, tracing my cuff. Together, like the ink, permanent, but flexible. We did queer couples counseling in Chelsea, unpacking closets and conflicts with a no-nonsense dyke therapist named Fran. Sessions peeled layers. Shane's internalized brothers before hose. My fear of abandonment etched from high school crushes gone south. Progress was glacial, humanistic, tears, breakthroughs, high fives over bad office coffee. Thanksgiving, hybrid feast. Ma's turkey shipped to NYC. Zoom with the mid-carve. Pass the virtual giblets, he barked, cane thumping for emphasis. Laughter echoed. Family fractured but mending. Winter wrapped us cozy. Tree trimming to Dean Martin, ornaments clinking like toasts. Ice skating at Bryant Park, Shane twirling me till we toppled, giggling in the rink's glow. New Year's, rooftop with Luke, visiting for Twilight's LA transfer, countdown kisses amid confetti chaos. By spring, we'd outgrown the shoebox. Signed a lease on a one-bed in Crown Heights. Exposed brick and a sliver of skyline view. Packing day, Shane unearthed the old dorm towel. The one from that naked night, draping it dramatic over his shoulder. Relic, he declared, to the museum of us. I snatched it, wrapping him like a toga. Or the bedroom, for old times. He growled, pinning me against boxes. Naughty professor. Our life wasn't flawless. No biopic gloss, just American grit. Subway delays testing tempers, rent hikes squeezing budgets, the world's headlines, Obergefell echoes fading into new fights, reminding us progress is petitioned, not promised. But in the quiet, his hand in mine at indie films, my head on his chest during Mets games, he converted me, grudgingly. We found the romance. Deep, dramatic, defiantly ours. One humid July 4th, fireworks bursting over the East River. Shane turned to me on our new fire escape, grill smoke curling lazy. Marry me, Zach? Not today, not tomorrow, But when the world's ready, or fuck it, when we are. Tears pricked. I kissed him fierce. Yes, shock me forever. And in that moment, city roaring approval, we were whole. Betrayed, broken, rebuilt. A gay love story, quintessentially American. Raw, resilient, radiating human light. Epilogues aren't tidy bows. They're the frayed edges where stories breathe on, messy and true. 5 years post that dorm door slam, Shane and I stood on a windswept cliff in Provincetown. Cape Cod's queer mecca, the Atlantic crashing below like applause. It was our wedding, small, fierce. Luke officiating in a seersucker suit, Ma O'Malley dabbing eyes under her widest brim, leaning on his cane with a gruff about damn time. My parents beaming beside a driftwood arch draped in wild roses. No tuxes, just linen shirts rolled to elbows, bare feet in the sand, vows handwritten on napkins from the canteen. Do you, Zachary Harlan? Luke intoned, voice cracking with mock gravity. Take this Irish whirlwind to love, honor, and argue over the thermostat through all the shocks life throws? I do, I said, grinning as Shane slipped a simple titanium band on my finger, engraved naked and true. His turn. Eyes green and gleaming, wind tousling his hair silver at the temples. 30 hit hard, he joked. And do you, Shane O'Malley, promise to catch this city boy when he trips over his own metaphors, and to always come home, no matter the storm? Till my last breath? He vowed, voice rough, pulling me in for a kiss that tasted of salt and forever. Crowd whooping, waves roaring, amen. The reception was P-Town pure. Lobster bake on the beach, drag queens from the Crown and anchor belting. At last, Luke's toast slang. To the straight friend who bent the rules, and the naked truth that set them free. We danced barefoot till midnight. Shane's arms my harbor, the stars a canopy of confetti. Life post vows? The same beautiful chaos amplified. We'd traded Crown Heights for a brownstone in Fort Greene, backyard garden where Shane coaxed tomatoes from concrete, me writing blurbs for his Ollie Forney memoir pitch, Icebreaker. A Southie Son's queer awakening. Kids, not biological, NYC's a bitch for that, but we mentored, fostering teens short-term like young Riley, now 20 and crashing our couch during his Parsons internship. You two are gross inspiring. He'd grown over pancakes, but his hugs lingered. Conflicts came, of course, humanities tax. Shane's book deal hit snags. Agents whispering too niche, echoing old scout dismissals. He spiraled. Nights at the dive bar pouring drafts till close. Coming home with whiskey breath and, what if I'm not enough? I'd hold him then. Fierce. You're my plot twist. The best one. My own storm. A novel manuscript, semi-auto, our story laundered through fiction, rejected by 5 houses. Too sentimental. One note read. Luke, now Tony-nominated. Read it in manuscript. It's raw cowboy. Publish indie. Fuck the gatekeepers. I did shocked awake. Self-pubbed with a hyperreal cover. That dorm scene, reimagined tender. It sold modest, but reviews glowed. A humanistic hymn to queer becoming. Shane framed the first one on our mantle, beside Da's obituary, peaceful 2 years prior. Shane at his bedside, reading Whitman till the end. Betrayal's final echo. A tabloid whisper, some ex-teammates spilling dorm rumors, to a trash blog, dredging the naked night for clicks. Shane laughed it off over IPAs at our local. Let 'em talk. We're the real headline. Climax, small scale. Our 10th shockiversary. Back in Boston for a Bruins game, tickets from Pat, now uncle in earnest. Halftime in the box. Ice glittering below. Shane dropped to one knee again, renewing vows with a key. To a cabin in the Berkshires, our escape hatch. For when the city chews us up, he said, eyes misty. You, me, naked truths by the fire. Tears fell. I pulled him up, kissing amid cheers. Lead the way, Irish. Back in NYC, life hummed humanistic, volunteering at Pride, hosting queer book clubs in our garden, Luke crashing holidays with scripts and scandals. Ma visited quarterly, stuffing us with soda bread. Riley graduated, dedicating his thesis to the dads who showed me home. One autumn eve, raking leaves in the yard, Shane shirtless, freckles sun-kissed. I paused, rake in hand, struck by the ordinary miracle. "We made it," I said, voice thick. He straightened, leaves tumbling, pulling me close, sweaty, solid. "More than made it. We shocked the world into seeing us." And in his arms under amber boughs, I knew. Love's not the hook, but the whole damn story. Dramatic, emotional, romantic, rawly, redemptively human. From that naked vulnerability to this vested certainty, we'd woven a tapestry American as apple pie and protest marches. Gay, glorious, gone on.